Hey guys, Sadiq here. So this is another vlog in my series of vlogs about my journey in life coaching and some of the main things that I've learned along the way. So today's vlog is about how to conquer your fears. Now, a lot of us tend to find a lot of barriers and limitations in reaching our goals, and there is a tendency to attribute this to something practical that we're unable to do or unable to do well, and to have the impression that that's what's stopping us from getting us to where we want to be. However, the reality is that it's often something inside of us, one of our fears, that's holding us back, and we tend to blanket it or cover it by um, giving the impression that it's some sort of external limitation that's holding us back. Now, it's really important to actually get behind the issue itself to help find the solution. And that's where life coaching can be quite helpful, because a life coach will ask you a lot of open questions and often searching questions that will often get the client to look at things from a perspective that they hadn't previously, and to look beneath the surface as well. Now, for me, a really good example of this was in the Rocky saga. As you guys are aware, I do like the Rocky films. I like to refer to them a lot in my self-development videos as well. So in Rocky 3, basically, Rocky has just lost the world title after losing to another fighter called Clubber Lang, who's very strong, very powerful, and Rocky keeps getting flashbacks of being hit in the face by this guy who's like very strong and powerful. Um, Now his friend then agrees to train him to win back the title, and they start a training program. However, Rocky lacks any sort of motivation to really get going, um, and they're trying lots of different things, and it's just not working. And eventually, it gets to a stage where his trainer Apollo is pretty much given up on him, saying, "Look, there's no way we can go on because you just haven't got the motivation." And then Rocky's wife Adrian speaks to him, and she tries to get to the bottom of the problem, like what's holding you back. And Rocky comes up with a lot of sort of excuses, saying, "No, I'm not really sure. I'm just not into it." But then she really pushes him, says, "Look, what's the truth? What's the real reason?" And then finally he admits that he's scared. He says, "Look, previously when I was fighting, I didn't have anything to lose, but now I've got a wife, I've got a child. I realise that there's a lot to lose." And that's really the true root of his lack of motivation. It's his real fear about losing. But she convinces him, saying, "Look, that's not the end of the world if you lose, but carrying on in life with this fear inside of you, which is really holding you back, that's really going to affect you, not just you, but the people around you as well." So you encourage him to actually go forward, and whether he wins or loses the fight, really just give everything and just be at peace with the fact that he's given it everything, given it his best shot. So after that, Rocky does then find some motivation in his training, and then he has a rematch with his opponent Clubber Lang. Now, his trainer has worked with quite an advanced technique where Rocky can use his speed and agility to actually outmaneuver his opponent, and that's how he starts off the fight, and that strategy seems to be working quite well. However, for Rocky, it's not just about winning the fight. He needs to really conquer his fears. So then he changes his strategy to really just stand in front of his opponent and take his punches, and then to taunt him, and then to try things that way. Because for Rocky, it's not just about winning the fight, but to face up to his opponent and know that he can take those punches and not be affected by them. So eventually, by combining those two strategies, he is able to actually win the fight. I think that's a really good example, because sometimes, yes, there's practical things that you need to do, change your technique, do things differently, but ultimately it's what's within you, that fear. And sometimes just by facing your fear head on and overcoming it that way, that can just help you move forward and find lots of different solutions to moving forward. Now, that's where life coaching can be quite helpful. Again, as I mentioned before, because a life coach will often ask you certain questions like, what's the real issue here? And really get behind the problem. And self-development, and a lot of different things like social interactions, even martial arts, combat. There's a lot of focus on what we call the inner game, i.e., whatever goes on outside of you, how do you process that inside, in order to deal with it, and how does it affect you psychologically? And when you can really address the inner game with any issue, that's where the real power is, and that's where the results start to come. So hopefully you find that helpful. If you did like the video, please do give it the thumbs up. If you would like to see similar vlogs, then please do subscribe to the channel, and please do share this with anybody else who might find it helpful. And I'd love to have your comments as well. How have you, what sort of obstacles have you come across, and how have you overcome them, and what particular issues are you struggling with at the moment, and what sort of assistance would you need? Love to get your comments as well. Have a great week, and see you on the next one.